Hello, everybody there in YouTube land. Primal Instincts here, live in my bedroom. Welcome to my comfy couch. I did save you a seat. And thank you for joining me in this live stream. And let me start off by saying I'm thankful to be alive for this stream. Yeah, and the reason I say that is because, as I mentioned, and you might have heard in the weather news, there was a hurricane that went passing through the area, and I was actually asleep when it passed through my area. It happened like in the middle of the night. I actually woke up a little earlier than I normally do, which is early in the morning, and I heard the violent winds, and I heard like tree branches slapping against my house because they were being blown around so violently. And I remember hearing that this was coming. And I was like, oh yeah, it must be that storm. And then as the day went by a little more and you could see outside a little better, I could just start to see all these like pieces of trees just all over my yard. And the wind continued to sound really violent. I was like, uh-oh, looks like this is a little scarier than I originally thought. And then the power went out. And that was awful because it went out Friday morning and it was off all the way until Saturday evening. And it was just really strange. You know, like I went through all the emotions any person does when that happens. You know, you get really frustrated and irritated and just bothered by the fact that I just realized how reliant and dependable we are as people on electricity. And I was just kind of sitting around at the mercy of the electric company employees working very tirelessly to get the power restored. You know, I'm just like trying to find non-electricity things to do to pass the time. Because, you know, of course I had my phone, but I wasn't able to use my computer. And I couldn't play Nintendo Switch. But that's not even the big deal. I wasn't able to use my heat pump, and it was really hot and humid. So I'm sitting around in a house that's like 82 degrees, and the humidity, the relative humidity percentage is up to like 64. And even worse, you may have seen the video where I talked about getting my crawl space under my house encapsulated. And then I went down there and installed that dehumidifier myself, and I was real proud of doing that. Well, that wasn't able to run without power. Neither was the vent fan down there. So I got my little hygrometer, the meter that tells me what the humidity is outside and in the house and in the crawl space. And I'm watching the crawl space humidity get up to 64% too. And, you know, sometimes ignorance can be bliss to not know what these numbers mean, but I had to learn what they meant. And it means that at that high of a humidity and a temperature in the 80s, that mold that I paid to get killed in that crawl space, it's going to start coming back pretty soon. But I think it was all right. I think the power got restored in time and everything got dried out again. But the electric company, they gave me a little tease though. I got a text message at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday saying that their records indicate my power should be back on, but it wasn't actually on. I was like, your records are wrong. So I had to report that I was out again, and it didn't end up getting restored until like way later in the day. But I was ever so thankful when I downloaded an FM radio app on my phone. I was listening to music, just walking around the house, jamming to some music with some earbuds in, and then I noticed the light come on. I was like, they did it. They got it back on. We're running. And of course I had to use my shower too. Oh, yeah, I know, being the no deal hero and living here alone, this shouldn't be too big a deal for me, but I wasn't able to use my shower because I have a private well on my property, and the well pump is electric. So there was no electricity. There was no well pump, you know, pumping the water to my house. So I had to go to a gas station. It knocked out the power at all the stores and gas stations in my area. I had to drive like farther out, and the traffic lights were out too. Everybody was just like nervously treating it like we were just kind of being our own traffic cop. Like, okay, you guys can go now for a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna go. It was like real awkward. There was just nobody directing it. It was pretty scary. The roads can be scary already as they are, right? But I had to go to a gas station. I had to go in there, you know, like stinking and sweating from the hot and humid house, and being outside picking up and dragging all those fallen branches and limbs that I showed you guys in the videos on my channel, the shorts. I had to buy some water and, you know, just wait it out. But yeah, it's I have this philosophy I live through though. This is something I was thinking of even while the power was out. I call it the bright side of suffering philosophy. This is a personal philosophy that I live by and I always have. And it definitely works in my favor. And if you guys apply it to your own existence, I guarantee it'll probably help you through some tough times too. Because as humans, we are going to go through tough times, aren't we? Whether it's a natural disaster like a hurricane, or a loss in the family, or an accident, or just, you know, whatever it is, something that you got to get through, something that's going to take time to get through. And even though that is going to be frustrating and difficult for you to get through, you got to at least try to find something positive in that suffering. And that's what I do. And with this, you know, because my stove, right, my range, I wasn't able to cook my veggie meals that I'm always cooking every night. The same 2 meals I'd switch off. I wasn't able to make those without a stove. So I said, okay, well, I looked at the numbers on the boxes of everything that I eat. And I said, okay, how much calories do I normally eat at dinner? How much of this do I get? How much of that? And I realized that I can get the same amount of calories and protein and more if I just get 2 slices of wheat bread and put peanut butter on them. I buy the unsalted natural peanut butter that you got to stir up. It's really good. It doesn't have that nasty palm oil in it or like preservatives and stuff. Just pure peanuts. So I did that, and I just ate that as my dinner instead. And yeah, it filled me up. I was like, hey, look at that. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have these pots and pans to wash. Yeah, it wasn't hot food, but you don't actually need hot food. I mean, it wasn't cold food either. It was room temperature. And it was good, healthy stuff. I mean, wheat bread, come on. You get fiber in that. You got protein. You get minerals. There's some fat in there too to make sure you get your fill. So I was like, wow. You know me. You know the way my mind works. If you know me well enough yet, it started getting me thinking like, how much money could I save if I just ate this for dinner? Yeah, the same thing I have for lunch every day. I know. What if I just eat this for dinner instead of like buying all this stuff and cooking just so I can have a hot meal? Like, what if I just eat this? I'm still getting my calories. I'm still getting the vitamins and minerals. Because I track all of that stuff, guys. And I supplement the stuff that I'm missing out on for being a vegetarian. It's like, what if I did that? So I hit the breaker to turn the range off. So when the power came back on, that's still off, you know? No stove, no oven. I'm like, let's do a little experiment. Let's do a little test run here. Maybe I'm going to take this experience of having to be without power and having to eat 2 non-cooked meals that were still very healthy. I'm going to take that experience and I'm going to turn it into an experiment. Because that's the way my mind works. It likes to see things like that from that big picture standpoint. I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe there was a reason this happened. Maybe fate has a plan for me. You could be living even easier and more of that minimalist lifestyle that I like to live. So that's what I'm doing right now, guys. For the 3rd night, last night, I just had me some healthy peanut butter and wheat bread for dinner. And we're going to see where that goes. I am still getting my 2,000 calories a day. I am getting my 102 grams of recommended protein because I do work out 5 days every week. So that is the goal to try to set for me in particular. I'm getting all the fiber I need. I'm not getting too much iron. I'm getting enough of everything I need and not too much of anything as well. One day I'm going to do a video about that too. All my nutrition numbers. So you guys can know what exactly I eat and how much I get to have this skinny, lean bod. I think that would be cool to share with everybody too. But yeah, that's what I realized. I'm gonna take this experience and I'm gonna try to make something good of it. I'm gonna see if I can make my meals even simpler while keeping them good and healthy for my body. And then I really started getting wild with it too. It's like, wait a minute. If I'm not gonna buy perishable stuff like that anymore, do I even need a refrigerator? The only thing that's in my refrigerator now that I would need is my seltzers. But I mean, you can drink that warm, it's just not as good. They don't need to be refrigerated, but they're just not as good warm. And also during the summer, the water that I drink from my well, it's warm coming from the ground, so I do like to refrigerate it. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about that too. Maybe I can get like one of those like little small bedroom coolers just for the water and the seltzers. Then I won't need that noisy refrigerator anymore. See, there I go again. My mind is going. I like to share these thoughts. I wonder if anybody else out there thinks like this. Like, do I really need that stuff? Because you guys know, I've been doing the no hot water challenge. I've had my water heater emptied out, flushed out, and disconnected ever since the beginning of May. And I've enjoyed the cold showers. I've been enjoying the no hot water, no water heater challenge. Cold showers are refreshing. I mean, athletes do it all the time. They even do like the ice baths. I'm not trying to get to that level. I'm just doing the cold water rinse. And I've been sticking to it, and I'm gonna keep going, man. Now we're in autumn. The next season, you're like, yeah, sure, it'll be easy to do in the summer when it's really hot, but what about when it starts cooling down? That water's gonna get a little cold. I'm up for the challenge. I'm still going. I'm going on to the next season. Now I got the no stove challenge going. That baby is disconnected. Saving more money on the electric bill, less reliant on electricity, because that's the way I like to think and that's the way I like to go. I like to challenge myself in my own existence. You know, like, can I do this? Yes. Physically I can. Mentally, let's try it and find out. Let's challenge myself. Let's see if I can live even more minimally and easily. Like, think of how rewarding it will be. I know when some people think of, if you've ever heard those stories about the monks and they spend so much time just like sitting there meditating. And some people might look at that and be like, well, that seems really boring. They're just sitting there with their eyes closed. But it's probably really rewarding for them up here. It probably feels really good to know that they have that much discipline over themselves and their lives, that sitting there in peace and tranquility is the ultimate pleasure to them and the ultimate reward. So while I'm not personally sitting under a tree meditating at the moment, I am trying to think along those lines and trying to better my life. And sometimes it takes experiences like that, I guess, to give you that little push. You know, you have what could be considered a near-death experience with that storm, because like you saw in the video, I mean, those huge branches that came down, they got so close to my car. They dropped everywhere around it. And I got a little car. I accidentally put a dent in my car when I pounded it with the side of my fist one day. And I was like real disappointed. I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I didn't even hit it that hard and I put a little dent in it. Those big heavy branches, that would have been some damage to that little car. So I guess fate didn't want my car to be destroyed. I was very lucky, is what that was. Got very lucky. And didn't hit my house. Didn't go through the house and hit me while I was sleeping. That was a relief. But yeah, sometimes it takes experiences like that, man. In situations like being without power to really open your mind and say, what if I can make some changes so like the next time this happens, it's not going to be as bad. But of course I was also thinking too, I might need to get me one of those generators because I do want my dehumidifier running in my crawl space and I do want my well pump going if the power goes out again. So I can just get one of those little generators that you can plug your well pump into and plug your dehumidifier and your vent fan into, and I'll survive without the heat pump. But just to get those things going next time, because I was a little worried about my little crawl space, man. I spent money, a lot of money, and a lot of my time as well after the company came in, installing that down there and making sure that mold doesn't come back. So I'm just watching that humidity rise like, oh, please don't get moldy again. I think it was all right. And the house was all right. And so was I. And I'm glad that I heard from some of you guys that were also in the path of destruction. And you guys were all right. And I want to thank all of you who reached out to me to make sure I was okay and to let me know that you are okay. And that's great, man. That's good to know. We survived. We are strong. Storms are scary. They can also be cool too. Like I was outside just watching all the trees. And there was like little miniature tornadoes like rippling through them. And you can just hear them and see it as it was passing through them. I'm just like watching and wonder like, whoa. They're scary, but they're cool. But yeah, they can be destructive. And a lot of people did lose their lives, I saw too. There's a lot of property damage as well. I'm lucky that it was just the trees in my yard. And the bright side of suffering with that is I'm going to have me a nice big fire one of these days in my backyard fire pit. I got so much to burn now. And those are a lot of fun to have. Probably going to wait for it to cool down a little bit though. But yeah, guys, I'm okay. I got everything cleaned up. It's the storm passed, power's back on. We're back in business, baby. We're going to keep on rolling. And not only that, but October, there's something really big coming up in, what is it, a week from now? 30? Yeah, less than a week. Guys, listen to this. October 5th is No Deo Day. What is No Deo Day? Longtime viewers already know. No Deo Day is the day I originally created the No Deo Show. The YouTube channel that you're watching now. That's when I originally started it. October 5th of 2015. Can you guys believe it's been 9 years? I'm gonna film a separate video about this. This is just about the survival of the storm. But yeah, I do want to make a mention of that too. 9 years celebration coming up. You got to make sure you don't use deodorant on October 5th too. Because it's No Deo Day, baby. You know I won't be. Yeah, thanks for listening. Just want to check in with you guys. Let you know that your man Primal here is alive and well. And happy to see that everybody watching this is too. Thank you for your well wishes. Thank you for your continued love and support. Let me know of any custom video commissions you would like me to film for you, because I always love filming them. I do still sell my personally worn clothing to fans limited to the USA, unfortunately, because of shipping restrictions. But you can buy my worn clothing as personal merch if you'd like. And I do have tons of behind the scenes extras that you can purchase access to that are on my website, thenodeohero.com. There's also a lot of great photos and blog entries and more personal information on that website you should check out if you haven't yet. And I also have a Patreon, which is, of course, patreon.com/thenodeohero. I make a lot of private posts on there just for my patrons. In fact, I just made one today. So if you are pledged to me, it went to your email. If you're not pledged yet, what are you doing? Get on there. Go on. Pledge yourself some support and get yourself some exclusive content sent directly from me to you. Well, that's it for now, guys. I will be filming another little video like this about the upcoming No Deo Day 9 years celebration. Wow, it's almost going on 10 years of No Deo Hero. I can't wait. That's going to be a milestone. Thank you for all the love and support. I love you guys as well. And I will see y'all in the next video. So stay tuned and stay cool.